Hello and thank you for joining us on NTA Nationwide. I am Ifoma Ojinta. President Muhammadu Buhari this Wednesday leads the nation to pay glowing tribute to fallen and serving members of the Nigerian Armed Forces. The president at the National Memorial Arcade in Abuja laid the wreath, bringing to an end 2 months of activities marking the 2020 Armed Forces Remembrance Day. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
President Muhammadu Buhari kick-started activities marking the Armed Forces Remembrance Day way back in 2019 with the launch of the Remembrance Day emblem. The president is being received into the National Memorial Arcade by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, Senate Leader Abdullahi Yahaya representing the Senate President, Speaker House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila, Chief Justice of Nigeria Ibrahim Tanko Mohammed, and the service chiefs, as well as other dignitaries for the final event to end the 2020 Armed Forces Remembrance Day. It's a solemn moment indeed as all heads drooped and arms dropped as a minute silence is being observed in honor of the fallen soldiers who paid the supreme price defending their country and humanity in various conflicts, nationally and internationally.
O God, grant eternal rest to their soul.
Nay, they live, finding their sustenance in the presence of their Lord. They rejoice in the bounty provided by God.
President Muhammadu Buhari and all in position of authority under him, give them wisdom, knowledge, and understanding as they lead this nation to greater heights.
The president thereafter leads other dignitaries in the wreath-laying ceremony. Peak of the wreath-laying ceremony is the release of pigeons by the president. This symbolizes the need for peaceful and harmonious coexistence among all Nigerians and people around the world. From the National Memorial Arcade in Abuja, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
And to a soldier returning from the front line, the Armed Forces Remembrance Day is a day of sober reflection. And to families of the nation's fallen heroes, it is a day with messages of hope and encouragement. But what does the day mean to Nigeria, and why is it marked annually? Olusheye Adeagbo takes the story from here.
The work of a soldier is an assignment that comes with a huge prize, and to those who signed in, it is with a readiness to pay the ultimate prize, even at the cost of their lives.
We are here to sacrifice our today for their tomorrow. We are here to sacrifice today so that our children will have a peaceful life tomorrow.
I believe everything is planned by God. So when it comes, I take it.
I wanna be a soldier. I wanna be a rugged.
With full determination, a soldier is always on alert to defend the territory and protect the lives of the people. Olawale Bakari from southwest Nigeria is here with his friends, and this is despite their tribe and religious differences. For Olawale and Idris Galba from the northeast, the men and women of the Nigerian Armed Forces are heroes and heroines who deserve this day that has been set aside in their honor, as well as recognition for selfless sacrifices, especially for those who failed to return from the front lines.
It's not easy for someone who just left his life because of me and you, for us to live. They're worth to be celebrated.
I'm from the area of the battle, and they deserve to be commended because they do a lot. If not because of them, we don't know where we're heading to.
But how significant is this day? Kabir Damu is a security expert.
The 15th of January is coming at a time when a lot of attention is being paid to the counter-insurgency operations in the Northeast. So it's quite remarkable, and it's a good day for us to take a moment to appreciate and to give gratitude to the number of military personnel that have paid both the supreme sacrifice as well as those ones that are currently implementing several operations to protect the lives and property of Nigerians.
For Major General Galba Ayodeji Wahab, the Nigerian Army is where he spent the most productive part of his life, and he tells me how life was before his retirement.
Nigerian Army is my life. What it means to be in the Army. Come around, join, travel to so many places, meet different interesting people, at times kill them or they enjoy it.
Today, tomorrow no more. If I die today, I will die no more.
In Abuja, Olushaye Adiagbo, NTA News.
The Armed Forces Remembrance Day has been celebrated colorfully in Kano. The event, attended by Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje and Emir of Bichi, Aminu Ado Bayero, featured colorful parade of Army and Air Force officers and wreath laying at the Remembrance ground. Abdullahi Mustafa has the report.
It wasn't a moment for speeches and merrymaking, but paying respect to fallen heroes who sacrificed their lives and those inflicted in the cause of defending the sovereignty and unity of Nigeria. The parade by officers and men of the Nigerian Army and Air Force was reviewed by Governor Abdullahi Umar Ganduje. This was followed by laying of wreath on the Remembrance cenotaph by the governor, heads of military and other security agencies, legionnaires and Emir of Bichi, Alhaji Aminu Ado Bayero. Prayers were also offered for the repose of the souls of the departed heroes and an end to security challenges facing the country. In Kano, Abdullahi Mustafa, NTA News.
Similarly, the people of Nasarawa State have joined other parts of the country to honor the fallen heroes who paid the supreme price in the defense of the nation. Aliyu Tijani Mohammed reports.
It's a solemn moment as the government and people of Nasarawa State, including members of the Nigerian Legion, pay tribute to the fallen heroes. As mark of honor, a special prayer session was held in memory of the fallen heroes by religious leaders. Governor Abdullahi Sule, leads commandant of the 177 Battalion Kefi, Commissioner of Police in the state, representative of traditional rulers, as well as the chairman of the Nigerian Legion in the state. 21-gun salute climaxed the event as Governor Sule frees pigeon, signifying peace in the land.
Fallen heroes have worked very hard to ensure security and stability of this nation, and they deserve every respect that we will give to them. So we thank God for bringing us to a day like this. We thank all the security agencies for continuous maintenance of peace and security in this country. We thank Mr. President for leading the way when it comes to the issue of security.
In Lafia, Aliyu Tijani Mohammed, NTA News.
50 years after the Nigeria Civil War, its poignant memories continues to linger as a reminder that peace and unity are non-negotiable in a nation's quest for development. In our Armed Forces Remembrance Day series, Senator Ibrahim Ida, a former permanent secretary in the Ministry of Defense, shares his thoughts on the nation after half a century of post-Civil War existence.
By the time of the Civil War, the country was well managed politically, in the sense that there was a single objective of keeping Nigeria one. And economically, we had people of vision. We had a commissioner of finance in the person of the late Chief Obafemi Olo, who was a no-nonsense man, a person who could not be swayed by any personal consideration, only patriotic feelings. And then we had a military that was really committed to seeing the end of the turmoil without necessarily injuring the opposing party. So it was easy that after the war in January, when the war ended, it was easy for people to reconcile, even the warring parties to reconcile. In any event, they were friends. And then it was easy for the three R's of reconciliation, rehabilitation, and reconstruction to be, in fact, handled without really much. The country was not in debt. And then, as good fortune would have it, it was also the beginning of the emergence of oil wealth, as it were. And corruption was at the barest minimum, if any. I cannot say, but definitely it was not playing any big role in the political economy of the country.
Compared to the other countries that have experienced war and conflicts, Nigeria is seen as having recovered fast from the effects of the Civil War from 1967 to 1970. But experts say that it is not an excuse for Nigerians to open the old wounds for another conflict. Guest on NTA's flagship program, Good Morning Nigeria, gave the advice while discussing the topic, 50 years after the Civil War, never again. Mujanatu Adam Said reports.
The Nigerian Civil War has come and gone, but the consequences and pain are still fresh in the memories of those that witnessed it. 50 years on, the country has recorded numerous milestones in development and in efforts to sustain the peace and progress in the country. The guests say it is important to build a united nation where conflict can be resolved through dialogue.
That the majority of the people are working seamlessly with themselves, outside tribe, outside religion. But please, don't quote Nigeria because of the fringe elements. It won't help. And as I said, and as Professor Yadudu and my comrade Issa Remu said, conflict is inherent in human nature.
To roll back and to ensure that we did not have to resort to conflict, to armed conflict, to resolve political or economic or social problems.
For those beating the drums of conflict and war, the guests advised them to desist from such actions, as no nation can survive multiple conflicts or war.
There will always be conflict, and that's why Professor Yadudu point raises that there will always be conflict, but we don't need to resolve conflict through additional addictive conflictual method, through violence. I think we can do so through negotiation, through discussion, through compromises.
They advise Nigerians to accord the same respect, love and care to the families of the fallen heroes left behind. In Abuja, Mujanatu Adam Said, NTA News.
Still on the Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration, let's now join Dotun Ogunyemi in Lagos for more reports. Hello, Dotun.
Hello, Ifeoma, and a warm welcome to Lagos. Nigerians have been charged to respect, honor, and show gratitude to members of the Nigerian Armed Forces for their selfless sacrifices in ensuring peace and unity of the country. Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu made the call at the Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration held at the Remembrance Arcade, Tafa Balewa Square, Lagos. Nosa Usla reports.
is to celebrate both the dead and the living heroes, including all those who suffered various deprivations as a result of wars. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who commended the contributions of the armed forces to the development of the state, said the Armed Forces Remembrance celebration offers opportunity to value the contributions of the armed forces and the heroes past towards peace and security of the nation, and called on Nigerians to remember their sacrifices in uniting the nation.
It was also witnessed by detachment of all of the security formatives, both the Nigerian Army, the Nigerian Air Force, the Nigerian Navy, and of course men of the Nigerian Legion. And it's really all very significant, and it's something that we truly continue to celebrate.
Shows that they are not forgotten. This again is a way of kindling courage in those of us who are still serving.
Recognizing the sacrifices made by our fallen heroes, so that their life they lived for the country will not be in vain.
High point of the event was the laying of wreath and release of pigeons in commemoration of the celebration. The Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration is an annual event organized to honor members of the Nigerian Armed Forces who fought in the First and Second World Wars, those who served or are still serving in various peace support operations worldwide, and those involved in counter-terrorism operations, as well as those who fought in the Nigerian Civil War. In Lagos, Nosa Osula, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Lagos State chapter of the Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association has brought succor to families of fallen heroes who lost their lives in the line of duty to maintain the nation's unity. Joyken Abakoya, who was at the 9th Brigade headquarters, reports that the mood of beneficiaries was that of elation and gratitude at the gesture.
Fighting to protect the integrity of the nation comes with a price, and that price has adverse effects on the families of those who laid their lives gallantly for the nation and other peace support related operations. This gesture by the Nigerian Army Officers' Wives Association is to extend the hand of fellowship to the families of the fallen heroes and in turn empower them to be self-reliant.
You wives of our fallen heroes to be resilient, brave and engage in positive ventures that would create a better life for you and your children. You must strive to send your children to school, as education is a sure key to success.
38-year-old Fumilayo Francis, a widow with 7 children, and Blessing Abba, a 45-year-old widow with 4 children, are among the beneficiaries.
Me to buy pumping machine and money to establish to buy manure, fertilizer and all that. So use for the water leaf to grow fast so that at least I will make money.
If we come to realize that husbands, their entire life is just for their family. And we are really depending on them for everything, totally everything. And so not having them has been difficult.
The Armed Forces Remembrance Day is an annual event organized to honor members of the Nigerian Armed Forces who fought for the nation and those who served or are still serving in various peace support operations. In Lagos, Joyken Abakoya, NTA News.
Now, away from the Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebrations, the United Kingdom High Commission in Nigeria is finalizing plans to bring 300 British businesses to Nigeria. Deputy High Commissioner of the UK to Nigeria, Harriet Thompson, informed journalists at a media briefing in Lagos ahead of the UK Africa Investment Summit 2020. Hawal Yusuf Jibo reports.
African countries are blessed with abundant natural resources. However, exploiting these enormous sources of wealth and jobs has posed a challenge to the continent. To change this narrative, the UK is supporting Nigeria to further tap the great potential to promote better future for the citizenry.
Reliable estimates put the figure that's needed at around $36 billion a year for Nigeria to reach its potential. That's in transport, in energy access and in sanitation, including agriculture, manufacturing and mineral mining. These are all areas of focus for the Africa Investment Summit.
To achieve this, the UK-Africa Investment Summit will hold on the 20th of January in London. It will bring together UK and African governments alongside major international investors to create awareness of investment opportunities on the continent.
We have, some of the most productive agricultural land on the continent. All of this can support the cultivation of a wide variety of agricultural produce.
Our aim is to build an ecosystem of trusted service providers so that those who want to buy property and property-related services can do that with trust and ease. We see this as a huge opportunity to release housing finance in Nigeria.
Significant efforts to maximize the huge natural resources on the continent, especially in Nigeria, is to be harnessed from the summit. In Lagos, Awol Yusuf Jibo, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Lagos. Nationwide continues after this break.
You're welcome back. President Muhammadu Buhari is urging Governor Bello Muhammad of Zamfara State not to relent in his efforts at restoring peace and security in the state for a prosperous future. This was when he granted audience to the governor, who was in the State House, to brief him on the security situation in Zamfara State.
I come to see him and to update him about the huge successes that recorded by the Nigerian security in terms of wiping out some of the bandits in all the areas in Zamfara State. You know the narration that used to come out from the state, but thank be to God that today the narration has completely changed. Before you hear banditry activities every day, killings, kidnappings, but today nothing coming from Zamfara as such. So we thank him for all the support that given to Zamfara State people. Mr. President is very happy with the action that I have been taken, and he praised me very well, and he said I have to keep on what I am doing to the good people of Zamfara State.
State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the governor also briefed the president on his efforts at enhancing mining activities in the state.
I have been talking with so many investors in Nigeria and outside the country, particularly in Russia, China, and Dubai. And some of them all are coming by February. We see a lot of investors that will come to my state to invest.
Hope Uzodinma of the All Progressives Congress APC has received his certificate of return as the governor of Imo State. While applauding the judiciary for defending the integrity of the institution and upholding the rule of law, Uzodinma says he owes his victory to not just the Supreme Court, but to APC and the people of Imo State for not giving up hope on his mandate.
People of Imo State have not been denied their choice of leadership, have not been denied the efforts, the dividends of the efforts they made during the election. Is something that we must be grateful to. We have further challenged as a party and even as a candidate, as the governor, to now ensure that the reasonable expectations of the citizenry and the voters are not disappointed. So
the development is in compliance with the directive of the Supreme Court and in fulfillment of the electoral acts by INEC. Nigeria's business-friendly environment continues to attract more foreign partners as the Turkish Minister of Trade leads a business delegation from Turkey to Nigeria. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo received the delegation this Tuesday, promising government's commitment to both local and foreign investors. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
The discussion between Vice President Yemi Osinbajo and the delegation led by Russia Pekan centered on bilateral economic relations and investment. Nigeria is the sixth largest trade partner of Turkey in Africa and the second in sub-Saharan Africa, with the two countries having trade volume of over $2 billion in 2019. The Turkish Minister of Trade, Russia Pekan, comments on the visit after the meeting.
We are willing to increase our trade and investment mutually
There are some pending agreements had been signed before or going to be signed. There are several agreements between us, and we have agreed with the ministers that we are going to have more often visit each other and business forum together with our business people. We have very much pleased that the Nigerian and the Turkish business people, they are very much interested doing more business in between and investment.
Nigeria's economy is arguably based on imports, and the delegation may hope to provide quality and cost-effective products for Nigeria. However, with the Buhari administration philosophy, the new business cooperation opportunities that could be explored by the delegation would be on support for manufacturing, and this may be the message.
We've been discussing on various issues. Our major focus as Nigerians is getting Turkish companies to come and invest in manufacturing here in Nigeria, and those are the discussions we'll be having, and the responses we'll be getting are very encouraging.
The delegation is expected to hold more business meetings before departing the country. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NT News.
Oyo State's Governor Seyi Makinde has eulogized the Nigerian armed forces for selfless services and making supreme sacrifices for the peace and unity of Nigeria. The governor said this at the 2020 Armed Forces Remembrance Day in Ibadan. Ayomiku Ajibola reports.
Every January 15th, Nigerians came together to salute the bravery and gallantry of its fallen heroes who paid the ultimate sacrifice to keep the country safe. So this year, Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde led other dignitaries in laying the wreath as a symbol of remembrance and to also appreciate the sacrifice of the fallen heroes.
We don't have any other country apart from this, so they should do their best, and they are appreciated.
We still want to solicit for more assistance, more help to the for the welfare of our dependents.
Applauding the effort of the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President Ahmadu Buhari, and the military in combating insurgency in the northeast of the country, Governor Makinde also commended the Legion in the state for imitating various relief packages designed to make legionnaires and their dependents self-sustained. The governor released white pigeons as a symbol of peace, followed by 21 gun salutes. In Ibadan, Ayomiku Ajibola, NTA News.
Now time to join Chinenge in Enugu for an update from that zone. Over to you, Chinenge.
Thank you, Ifoma, and welcome to Enugu. The ceremonial parade and wreath laying in Enugu being part of activities to climax the 2020 Armed Forces Remembrance Day brought to the fore memories of the supreme price paid by the Nigerian fallen heroes and the sacrifices of the 7 soldiers. The special guest of honor, Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, led other dignitaries to lay wreaths at the cenotaph of a known soldier at the Michael Obara Square, Enugu, venue of the event. Susan Eze has details.
As entertaining as those majestic steps may be, the ceremony was a very solemn one, as it triggered sober reflections on the reason for the event, to honor the nation's departed compatriots and living heroes. While Governor Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi inspected the guards, religious leaders led in prayers for the living and the departed soldiers who lost their lives in the First and Second World Wars, the Nigerian Civil War, and in all other peacekeeping missions. Most emotional was the laying of the wreaths in honor of the dead, led by the governor, other dignitaries, and a representative of the widows. A minute's silence and the 21-gun salute were also observed. The ceremonial release of pigeons signifying peace wrapped up the event.
I think the military, the on active service, and those also who have left service, who are receiving pension, they are underpaid. They are underpaid. There need to be a review.
Nigeria commemorates the Armed Forces Remembrance Day on 15th January every year to mark the official end of the Nigerian Civil War in 1970. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
The Enugu State Executive Council has awarded contracts for various development projects in the urban and rural areas worth over 1 billion naira. The move is the first step towards the implementation of the 2020 budget. Again, Susan Eze reports that details of the approvals were announced to journalists by the State Commissioner for Information, Nnayelugo Chidi Aro, at the end of the Executive Council meeting in Enugu.
In a bid to keep to the promise of a year 2020 with more dividends in the area of human and infrastructure development, the Enugu State Executive Council, in their first meeting of the year, made various approvals aimed at improving the lives of the people, totaling over 1.1 billion naira. To strengthen the state civil service, the Council approved the recruitment of middle and senior level cadre staff into the ministries, departments, and agencies of government through the State Civil Service Commission.
It has become an imperative for the state government to bring in sharper hands and fresher hands to continue to strengthen the public service of the state, which is the driving force actually for implementation of government policy.
Several urban and rural road contracts were also awarded. Contracts were also awarded for the perimeter fencing of the 5 newly constructed fire stations across the state and the installation of street lights and solar-powered boreholes for all the fire stations. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
An APC party chieftain and leader, Senator Ayo Ogweze, has assured the people of Umuadogwa Umuida community Enugu Ezike in Igboeze North local government area of Enugu State that the state and federal government would continue to execute people-oriented projects that would alleviate the sufferings of the people. He was speaking at the inauguration of a water borehole project executed by the Enugu State government, which he complemented with a donation of water pumping engine and generator of about 5 million naira.
The Holy Spirit.
Water, they say, is life. With that inauguration of water borehole project, the people of Umuadogwa village, Umueda Enugu Ezike, will now have a new lease of life. For Mrs. Roslyn Abugu and Mr. David Eze, who are members of the community, the water borehole has put to an end the perennial water challenges they had faced for over 10 years. They narrated how they trekked various streams and a distance of over 15 kilometers in search of drinking water.
We are very much happy today because we are suffering for drinking water many years, and today we are happy.
We fetch water from Imufu side before, very far place.
Traditional ruler of the community as well as other key players were grateful to God, the Enugu State Governor and Senator Ayo Ogweze for the 5 million naira grant as well as the horsepower pumping machine and generator which saw to the realization of the project.
So these people, part of my community, have been suffering for water for a long time, but we have achieved it.
This is just one of several water projects that we have attracted to this community, and we'll continue to do more. Actually, my major contribution was to give them a brand new 40 kVA generator to power the engine.
The State Commissioner for Rural Development, who represented the Enugu State Governor on the occasion, said having used the money given to them judiciously, the people of the community would receive more.
And also, I will not fail to thank the people of Umuida for seeing this project as completed.
The joy of the people knew no bounds as they sang and danced in appreciation to God for making their age-long dream of having potable water a reality. And that is it from Enugu. Ifoma is back to you in Abuja for more on Nationwide. Good afternoon.
Thank you, Chinenge. The Nigerian Navy has handed over a vessel and its 9-man crew to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, in Warri, Delta State for alleged involvement in illegal oil bunkering. A statement by the EFCC said that Captain A.V. Kujo, who represented NNS Delta at the event, noted that the arrest was made by NNS Zaria around Escravos for a transshipment of suspected illegally refined automotive gas oil of about 50,000 litres. The representative of the FCC, Richard Obera, said the commission will carry out further investigations and ensure those found culpable are punished accordingly. As the government continues to develop programs for the welfare of the family members of Nigeria fallen heroes, an appeal has gone to Nigerians to rally around the government to ensure that their sacrifices does not go in vain. Donyi Dia takes it up from there.
May 31st, 2017 is a day Faith Amakwe will not forget in a hurry. A mother of 3 woke up to the sad news of the death of her husband, a tale which she wished would never come true.
On Sunday morning like this, I was preparing to go to service. Then the news came.
Her husband, Warrant Officer Rumi Amakwe, while embarking on a peacekeeping mission in faraway Sudan, promised to reunite with his loved ones when he returns. But that was a dream which never came to pass.
It just reminded me again concerning my husband. I was shedding tears even as I was sitting down there, as they were going to honor the lost soldiers. Well, I said, glory be to God, because he's in the house of God.
Faith Amakwe's story is similar to thousands of other family members whose breadwinners pay the supreme price for peace.
My husband died 2002 in Jos. He slept and never woke up. And the next day, I was at the mortuary praying. I held him if he can rise again. But up to now, he never woke up again. But I only felt his body cold. And I look at him. The memory just came to me that all about life, this is the end. I heard him and I have this push to go on in life.
Many of such men and personnel of the Nigerian Armed Forces laid their lives in the defense of the nation's integrity. One question, however, which has continued to surface is what becomes of those they left behind.
Right now, as I'm talking now, my last born, I cannot even pay his school fees.
But this concern has not gone unattended to, as the government is committed to adequate compensation and support for relatives of the fallen heroes.
Giving them a job, supporting them educationally and otherwise, it will be of a great help. For the past, I think almost 3 years we've been coming here, and our program is an initiative of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We are saddled with the responsibility of a kind of public-private partnership for empowering ex-servicemen, widows, children of the fallen heroes. And so, as the 2020 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration comes to a climax, there is a message that these gallant officers and men are leaving behind: patriotism to fatherland, that which the fallen heroes exemplified.
Doing Dia NT News.
Meanwhile, Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel has called on corporate organizations and public-spirited individuals to join hands with government to ensure that the heroism of the soldiers who paid the supreme price for the peace and unity of Nigeria is appreciated. Governor Emmanuel said this can be done through institution of scholarship schemes to educate the children of the departed heroes. Susan Asokwo reports that the governor made the appeal during the 2020 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration in Uyo.
In Akwa Ibom State, the 2020 Armed Forces Remembrance Day began with the emblem launch, Jumat and interdenominational Thanksgiving services, and climaxed with the grand finale at the cenotaph, Uyo. Governor Udom Emmanuel said the day is a day for sober reflection and a time to spare a thought for the families of the departed heroes, noting that their effort will be more appreciated if everyone works together to foster peace and unity of the country, which was the reason for the supreme price they paid.
On our part as government of Akwa Ibom State, we have demonstrated in practical terms our deep and profound appreciation of the role of armed forces and other agencies have played in our collaborative efforts to ensure that we are safe, secure, and peaceful state that is ready to welcome the world in a push to rapidly industrialize the state.
The solemn event featured the laying of wreaths by the governor and others, release of the pigeons, which symbolizes peace and an end to war, the 21-gun salute in honor of the fallen heroes, as well as observance of a 1-minute silence in their honor. From the Cenotaph of Uyo, Susan Asukwo, NTA News.
Let's now join Asmau in Sokoto for more stories on Nationwide. Hello, Asmau.
Hello, Ifoma. Good afternoon and welcome to Sokoto. Governor Aminu Waziri Tambol has appealed to the National Assembly to speed up legislative processes on the bill to amend the Nigeria Legend Establishment Act to enhance their welfare. He made the call at the Armed Forces Remembrance wreath-laying ceremony. Dalhatu Abdullahi has the report.
The Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration became an annual event being organized to honor the fallen and living heroes who fought during the First and Second World Wars, the Nigerian Civil War, as well as those who served and those that are still serving in peacekeeping operations within and outside the country. The annual event brings together officers and the men of the military, the families of the fallen heroes, and the surviving legionnaires. Several events were designed to celebrate the historic day, such as prayers for the repose of the heroes who lost their lives during the wars, observance of a minute silence, release of pigeons symbolizing peace, Remembrance Day parade, playing of the last post, wreath laying, among others.
I appeal to the National Assembly to do whatever it takes expeditiously to pass the bill so that there could be an improvement in the welfare and well-being of our retirees and members of the families of the fallen heroes.
Highlight was the free medical care offered to the legionnaires and their families. In Sokoto, Dalhatu Abdullahi, NTA News.
With good and purposeful leadership as established by the Premier of Northern Region, Sir Ahmadu Bello, the Sardona of Sokoto, the North and Nigeria has great potentials to develop. This was the view of some Nigerians who spoke on Sardona 54 years after his death. Muhammad Nasir tells us more.
The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. One of the shining stars among the past heroes, whose memory continues to linger in the minds of Nigerians, is Ahmadu Bello Sardona, the Premier of Northern Region, who served between 1954 and 1966. Sardona was a leader who worked and died for humanity, selflessly and with all sincerity.
Very conscientious man who would not discriminate against anybody. His emphasis always was for unity of Northern Nigeria, and he succeeded in making Northern Nigeria as one single entity.
He was able to manage the people generally, so he tried to give every other person freedom.
15th of January 2020 is exactly 54 years after the death of Premier of Northern Nigeria, Sir Ahmadu Bello Sardona of Sokoto. But his name has continued to be remembered by Nigerians, and this may not be unconnected to his leadership qualities during his lifetime.
He laid a very good foundation, especially for the Northern Nigeria and for Nigeria generally. And that's why you find people still praying for him, remembering him, and aspiring to be like Sardona.
The first and only Premier of Northern Nigeria left behind indelible marks, taking into cognizance the foundation he laid to reposition Northern Region, particularly in the area of education, agriculture, and industrialization. The Prince of Sokoto Caliphate, Sardona, was known as an incorruptible leader, whose material acquisition was not in his agenda, but the development of humanity.
If we repeated what he has done for Northern Nigeria, or we do even 20% of what he has done for Northern Nigeria will have been transformed.
In his honesty and transparency, he left neither fat bank account at home or abroad, no mansions, or fleet of cars. In Sokoto, Muhammad Nasir, NTA News.
And that's it from Sokoto. The news will continue with Ifoma in Abuja. Good afternoon.
Many thanks, Asmaw. And still on the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, the morale of men and women involved in the ongoing campaign against insecurity in parts of the country will get a boost when the sacrifice of heroes who defended Nigeria's unity with their blood is not only acknowledged but rewarded. This was the consensus as the Ogun State Governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, led other dignitaries to honor the contributions of fallen heroes at the grand finale of the 2020 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration in the state. Correspondent Lukman Adefeso's report is presented in this package.
It is the yearly convergence of living but unsung heroes of civil wars and other military campaigns. Although lucky to be alive, they bear on their bodies scars of battles and on their soul memories of lost comrades. The January 15 Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration is therefore set aside to celebrate their gallantry for paying the supreme price in defense of the territorial integrity of the nation and upholding a unity. The 2020 edition was not without the usual military fanfare, with the governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, inspecting the parade. One after the other, the governor, Speaker of Ogun State House of Assembly, Olakunle Oluomo, heads of military formations in Ogun State, and traditional rulers laid route at the tomb of the unknown soldier. This was followed by gun salute and release of pigeons, which symbolizes peace and tranquility for the country. Acknowledging the contributions of the military to the continuing existence of Nigeria, Prince Dapo Abiodun emphasized the need for a better welfare for the families of the fallen heroes.
We should look around ourselves, look around our neighborhoods, and find that orphan, that widow, that widower, who, because their mother or their father had sacrificed their lives in defense of this country. We should look for them, and we should find a way to touch and impact their lives.
Interdenominational prayers for the repose of the souls of the fallen heroes, their families, and the nation at large were later offered.
Yobe State government has launched customized tricycle ambulances for emergency transportation of women in labor, children and other emergencies, a strategy adopted to ease difficulties that may follow complications of pregnancy, labor and delivery. Unisa Suleiman reports that Governor Mai Mala Buni was on hand to lay the foundation stone for the construction of maternal and newborn child health complex at the Yobe State University Teaching Hospital in Damaturu.
These customized tricycle ambulances procured at the cost of 84.4 million naira were specifically designed for use in easing transportation for expectant mothers in labor or in emergency situations as a means of reducing maternal, prenatal and child morbidity and mortality in the state. Inaugurating the machines, Governor Mai Mala Buni also laid the foundation stone for the construction of maternal and newborn child health complex awarded at the cost of 1.5 billion naira with the objective of strengthening maternal and child care. Going forward, Governor Buni disclosed his administration's resolve to engage the services of more medical consultants and other health professionals to serve in the state-owned teaching hospital as senior level personnel.
We are determined to maintain and build on our progress in the healthcare. It is a progress that is recognized and celebrated both here in the state and across the country. It was why the federal government and the World Bank recently approved a grant of $29 million or around 10.5 billion naira to our state for emerging as the overall best among the 36 states of the Federation.
The state government, in collaboration with Saving 1 Million Lives funds, are fast-tracking efforts through the rehabilitation and standardization of 53 primary healthcare centers in 17 council areas at the cost of 4.1 billion naira, conceived to achieve universal health coverage. In Damaturu, Unisa Suleiman, NTA News.
Time for another commercial break. Nationwide continues in a bit. Now, a quick check on Thursday's weather prospects. And that concludes Nationwide for today. We thank you for watching.